Hello, everybody. Welcome to Moment of Clarity number 8, I think it is. So I'm filming this on the day before the election, which is why you see the vomit stains on my shirt. But whether you watch this before or after the election doesn't fucking matter, okay? It doesn't. In the scope of things, you'll see in a minute. It doesn't matter. I want to talk about something I will likely be talking about more and more, and that's the 3 or 4 levels of reality we should be discussing when we talk about this election or any American election. And by discussing, I mean screaming about. And by screaming about, I mean freaking the fuck out about. So let's freak out, shall we? Will you freak out with me? You know, I actually did get made fun of a lot as a kid for freaking out, as they called it, or sometimes the classier kids would call it spazzing out at the time. But when you think about it, when you really look around, when you really think about it, shouldn't we all be freaking out? I mean, when you look around and so few people are enjoying their lives, so many people are struggling or oppressed, and there's new and bizarre illnesses and viruses to worry about, and all our so-called leaders are goddamn morons. And then you got at the same time, you got a wedgie riding like up your crack, but your hands are full. You got a drink in one hand and a video game remote or a baby or whatever in the other hand. So the wedgie keeps growing and growing, and then it all comes crashing down. Point being, shouldn't we all be spazzing out? Even if you don't have the wedgie, if you look around at reality, it is spaz-worthy. It's all spaz-worthy. I think everyone can agree on that. Anyway, I'm about to talk about what's going to happen on Election Day tomorrow. But again, even if you're watching this a week from now, you'll see my points are far deeper than Election Day. My points are about the multiple levels of reality. And I'm just using the election as an example, as an in to that discussion. We have 3 or 4 levels of reality that we should be talking about all of the time because they're incredibly important. But most of the time, average people and our media don't talk about all of the layers. In fact, they only talk about one of the layers, the surface layer, because they are corporate sacks of shit. So using the election as an example, layer 1. Who's going to win? Biden or Trump? That's the surface layer, right? It's fair to talk about it. See, I'm not saying you can't talk about it. It's fair to debate it. I spent most of a video the other day talking about how Trump will likely declare victory no matter what the fuck happens and what might happen after that point. If you're watching this in the future, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, but either way, keep listening. And by the way, being in the future isn't fair. Let's be honest. If I were in the future, it would be easy for me to make fun of you. So stop acting like all smart just because you're in the future. Ugh. That's called cheating, asshole. Now let's get to layer 2, okay? Which is already a layer beyond what your mainstream corporate media will ever talk about. They only ever allow discussion on layer 1. Layer 2, digging slightly deeper into the analysis of our reality. Layer 2 is that the oligarchy in America wins every election no matter what. They win it in multiple ways, at multiple stages. One is by purging all progressives in the lead up in the primaries and libertarians on the other side, all basically purged out of the process. The other is by money, right? The richer people purchase the system, purchase the candidates. And the third, perhaps the most important way, is that our system simply does not pass anything. I mean, the government doesn't pass any bill, any act, anything through the government that isn't beneficial to the business community, aka corporate America. A large Princeton study that I like to talk about, I've talked about it a lot, and your mainstream media likes to talk about never. A large Princeton study that studied 1,779 policy initiatives, policy topics. They found that the American public has zero impact on what gets passed. What we want doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter on any level. It doesn't matter. They tell you it does, right? They act like they care. But nothing. And that you and I want ever gets done. It's like being in an emotionally or mentally abusive relationship. They gaslight us. They tell us we matter. They tell us they love us. They tell us we look good in that outfit. They tell us they'll change, and they never do. They're just sitting there in their fucking pajamas, eating ice cream out of the box with their feet on the coffee table, yet again putting coconut sprinkles into the ice cream box, even though they know you don't like the coconut sprinkles because they're tasteless in ice cream. And 2 days later, when you find one, you get a scoop in your mouth with 3 coconut sprinkles that you weren't expecting, and it tastes like hair or scabs or some shit. I can handle coconut if you prep me for it. All right, there's some coconut coming, but you just fucking slip it in there when you're eating what you think is just lovely velvety vanilla, and then you get chunks of scab in your ice cream. It totally ruins the whole experience. They know and they don't care. But that's my life. Point being, at the end of the day, we, the people, get nothing done in the government. That's what the Princeton study proved. Get nothing done unless it aligns with business interests. Okay, so for example, look at Obamacare. America wanted healthcare, but in order to get it passed, they made sure it was a giant giveaway to the health insurance industry. So the business community was okay with Obamacare. Wow, so it sounds like layer 2 is kind of important, like incredibly important. But nope, let's never mention it on the mainstream media. Let's pretend it's not even happening. Okay, layer 3. Let's dig a little deeper. We should really, a lot of the time, be talking about capitalism and environmental collapse. Under our economic system, the most powerful people, the corporatocracy, will eventually own everything. That's how it works. No matter what, the gravity of capitalism will be towards corporate hegemony. Every time, in every way. You can sometimes put in some roadblocks that slow them down, some regulations, but that's all it does. Slow them down. As they take control, the environmental fucking world around us will suck. And I learned that word from reading medical textbooks. Sucks. Take, for example, Monsanto Roundup herbicide. It's causing cancer, right? It's killing people, but more importantly, it's killing the bees and the insects. And unfortunately, the natural world needs those little fuckers. That's how it works. It fucking needs them. You might love that there aren't that many gnats left. Hey, I don't have to face full of gnats anymore. But the nature is just screwed. And as all the bees disappear and all the insects disappear, we eventually will disappear. Maybe not this week, but it won't be long, all right? Don't call me a liar for a couple of weeks. Point being, how could this happen? Why wasn't Monsanto stopped? Well, they're too fucking powerful. They own the market. They own the officials. They own the regulators. They even own the science. How can a dickwad buy up science? I don't know, but they fucking did it. So that's what talking about level 3 looks like. That's what a level 3 discussion is. It's talking about the economic system, the global impact, and yet again, the corporate media, your average mainstream media, will never have that discussion. Level 3 is more off limits for cable news anchors than it is for the female reporters to not shave their pits. And yes, I know that's a standard old school gender role, but I'm just making a point that the odds of seeing one of those reporters or anchors really dig down into how fucked up our capitalist system is about as likely as seeing the anchor of the 6 p.m. hour have a giant, like Krusty the Clown head of hair just bursting forth from under her arms. I'm not criticizing. I'd love to see it. So I'm all pro Krusty the Clown armpit. I'm just saying, unlikely. Level 4. Now we really get down deep. This is the last level. This is the true analysis of our reality, and it can come in a lot of different areas, a lot of different topics. It could be things like, what the fuck are nation states, right? What are they? Why is everything that we do put into boxes about national interests? What does it matter? I'm as much an American as I am a guy who lives in Washington, D.C., or a guy who lives in this neighborhood or that neighborhood, or a guy who lives in North America. So why don't we define everything that way? It's just a choice. What does it matter if I was born on this side of the line or that side of this line that some guy drew hundreds of years ago? Who even drew those fucking lines? Or it could be, level 4 could be like, why do we live the way we do? In houses? Why do we live inside seclusion boxes, hardly interacting with our fellow humans, just except going to work at our wage slavery jobs where we, basically faux interact with fellow humans. Hey, Jim, at least it's hump day, right? All that dumb shit. What the hell is that what kind of existence is that? That's level 4. That's getting pretty deep into the philosophical realm of our reality. But don't think it's important. Nope, don't think it makes any sense to occasionally talk about level 4, really dig into it, dig into who we are, what we are, figure it out. I'm not saying it's got to be the beginning of every newscast, but can't the deepest echelons of our reality ever come up in the mainstream narrative? Or we just have to go buy some hidden book in a basement of a rundown bookstore that's being looked after by a guy with suspenders who's got food stuck in his giant curly mustache and one glass eye. Is that the only place we can learn about this stuff? Never on our mainstream airwaves? Point being, those are the 4 layers, levels of reality that I chose to go into. There are more. There are more like the fact that we're all energy waves, right? So discussing that, there are more layers to this crazy ass world. The fact that our lives don't matter because over the scope of the amount of time the earth will exist, nothing we do will ever last longer than a few hundred years max. So there are others. But let's just focus on these 4 levels of our reality. And your media, your teachers, your leaders, your information sources never, and I mean never, get past level 1. And that's not an accident. I mean, it'd be only getting past level 1 never getting past level 1 would be like going to school and the entirety of your school experience, you never talk about anything other than how to color inside the lines with the crayons. That was your whole schooling experience. We are left at level 1, not by accident, but because it serves a purpose as a beautiful distraction. Never talk about the economic system in a deeper way, other than just going, oh, the Dow Jones went up. Never talk about how nations are used to divide us and keep us afraid and in our little allowable, acceptable behaviors. Never talk about how corporations own our society. You just discuss level 1. Who will win the presidential election? Who will win the race for this governor or that governor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Dig deeper. If you don't do it if you don't want to do it for your own curiosity, do it because they don't want you to. How about that? All right, guys, that's been your moment of clarity. Like I said, I'm going to talk more about these 4 layers more often on different topics. But hope you enjoyed this. Please share it. And this is one of the most suppressed shows on the interwebs these days. So if you want to watch this regularly, and I do put these out almost every single day, go to leecamp.com. All right, keep fighting.